Hello, I'm Lisa Brown, and I'm candidate for mayor of Spokane, the city I love. I'm wearing red today at City Hall because unfortunately I have to sound an alarm. The city's budget is seriously and structurally unbalanced. $8.5 million just this year alone. Second, the city's reserves and rainy day fund has been seriously depleted under the current administration, and now they are at dangerously low levels. For 3 years, Mayor Woodward has overspent the budgets she proposed and filled the gap with one-time funds. A flexible reserve fund of $28 million when she took office is now gone. The mayor is violating good government accounting practices and not complying with the city's own municipal code, which, as former council member Candace Mumm knows, has targets set for city's reserves and its rainy day fund. My estimate is the city is $50 million underneath those targets. That's right, $50 million below, at the same time that the city received over $80 million in ARPA, or American Recovery funds, and those have all been allocated. The mayor's failed to notify the public of this impending budget crisis and has failed to provide solutions that would create a balanced budget, despite being asked to do so by council members from Cathcart to Kinnear. Consequently, the city of Spokane is in the worst fiscal situation it has been in for decades. Mayor Woodward has dug us a deep hole, and she's still digging. Without a course correction, there could be many negative consequences. The city's bond rating could fall. It will be impossible to keep commitments to current service levels or collective bargaining contracts that have already been approved, much less take on needed infrastructure for neighborhoods that I'm hearing about as I knock on doors: streets, sidewalks, new fire stations at 5 Mile or in Latah Valley. We won't be able to respond effectively to the homelessness crisis that we all know is growing. And we won't be able to cope with the next economic downturn. And I can tell you as an economist, there will be another economic downturn. There always is. So right now, as we speak, they're in a session in which the Woodward administration is presenting another round of special budget ordinances to the council. Now that the reserve funds are dangerously low, the plan that she is suggesting is to draw on funds that have been built up for other purposes. So a diversion of other funds. Specifically, tonight's budget ordinance has a bit of bait and switch, so stay with me here. It moves funds from the Trent shelter to the police overtime, and then it moves funds from the real estate excise tax from that fund to the Trent shelter. The real estate excise tax, or REIT funds, are funds we can use for infrastructure, for streets, for repair, for investments in the future. But are they going for that? No. They're going to build bathrooms in the Trent shelter, a building that the city does not even own. This is classic robbing Peter to pay Paul. Furthermore, the administration has not shared with the public budget outlooks for 1 year or 5 years. I estimate that next year's deficit will be double digits, at least 12, perhaps 15 million. In general, when we're not in an economic downturn, we hope and expect city revenues to grow about 3% a year. With current service level commitments and current contracts that have been approved, city expenditures are growing 5 to 7% a year. This is a structural budget gap that obviously cannot be sustained. Now, I've been knocking on doors. Many households in Spokane, as you know, are struggling from paycheck to paycheck right now. They don't know how they're going to cope with rising rent or rising food costs. Spokane families can't keep spending more than their income month after month, and neither should the city. No Spokane business that's responsible would be run the way our city budget is currently being run. So today, I'm calling on Mayor Woodward to immediately release 1-year and 5-year budget outlooks so we can see what the situation really is. Produce a plan for a balanced budget and produce a plan for replenishing the city's reserve funds. In the Spokesman Review on Sunday, the mayor said we may need to do some city budget restructuring. Is that code for layoffs, utility rate increases, or tax increases? The public deserves an answer. First responders, city employees, we all deserve an answer, and we deserve it before the November election. As a legislator, I saw the consequences for the public of not having enough money in reserve, and that led to painful budget cuts and tax increases. That's why, as Senate Majority Leader, I worked with a Republican colleague in the Senate to propose and pass the state's constitutional rainy day fund. As an economist, I understand the cyclical nature of the economy and the opportunity costs of spending street funds and our precious reserves on other uses. As mayor, I will be transparent with you. I will publish updated budget projections on a quarterly basis. I will work for solutions to fulfill contracts that the city has committed to without layoffs. There are things we can do, such as bringing in state and federal funds, millions of dollars that were available for affordable housing that this administration left on the table. I'll be honest about service level costs. Hold departments that report to me accountable when they overspend year after year. And work with all city council members and the public on solutions that are fiscally responsible. Thank you very much for being here today, and I'm happy to take questions.